Hi, I'm Josh Pasek,
And I'm Brian Weeks.
and together we're going to present this weekend's Teach Out on fake news, facts, and alternative facts.
Over the next 48 hours, we're going to spend some time thinking about the role of fake news in our political environment. We're going to be talking with you about fake news from a number of different perspectives. We'll spend some time thinking about the nature of evidence and how we come to know things. We'll also talk a little bit about the way real news is produced to give us some comparison to fake news. We'll also spend some time thinking about our own psychological biases and how we can identify them and the role that they play in whether we are susceptible to fake news.
So by the end of this Teach Out, what we really want is for you to have a better sense of what it is that comprises the high quality information that we encounter in our lives and what information you should be suspect of. Whether that information is coming from a source that you don't entirely trust or whether it seems too good to be true. Those are the things that you really need to watch out for. And so we're going to take you through this journey to try to give you a better sense of what information really is and isn't credible.
So Josh, could you tell me a little bit about some of the skills that participants will learn over the course of this Teach Out?
Yeah, well, I mean, over the course of this Teach Out, I think we're going to give a really good sense of how to dissect what you end up finding in the media, right? Understand how it's produced and what that production means for what you're getting at the end of the day. Are you looking at an investigative piece that gives you a really solid sense of what's going on? Or are you looking at breaking news where the facts might well change and things may not have been reported at their best? Or maybe fake news entirely, right? How do you find that in a news article? How do you know what's the stuff that's right and what's the stuff that's not?
Yeah, one of the other things I think is important that people will learn in the course of this Teach Out is identifying the range of inaccurate information that's out there online. So we've heard a lot of conversation and a lot of talk about fake news, but fake news is only one of several strategies that people can use to misinform us. So we'll be spending some time going over the range of ideas or the range of ways in which we can become misinformed online.
We'll also talk about what it is we know and how we know things, and because that really forms the basis for figuring out whether information is credible or isn't.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we want people to leave the Teach Out with are some skills and some techniques that they can use in their daily lives to identify what is false information and what is factual information. So we'll be providing a number of activities that people can build those skills throughout the course of the Teach Out and offering some advice, some suggestions on what they can do in their daily lives when they've completed the Teach Out so that they can protect themselves from falling victim to false or fake news.
Can you give an example of one of those?
Yeah, so one of the things we're going to be asking people to do, I mentioned earlier this idea of identifying the range of inaccurate information, right? That it's not just fake news. There's a number of different ways that we can be deceived. So we're going to be walking through and having participants engage in an activity where they themselves look at news content and identify which type of inaccurate information that is. And that will help them build the skills so when they're looking at information online, seeing stuff on social media, they can better highlight or better notice inaccurate information in their own lives.
We're also going to bring in a set of professional journalists to talk about how the newsroom works so that you can understand what's underneath the news that you end up reading and to get a sense of how that news is really being produced.
Thank you for participating in this Teach Out, and we look forward to engaging with you over the next 48 hours. And we also look forward to getting your feedback on what you've learned, whether you find the strategies that you've discovered to be useful, and hearing a little bit more about how you might incorporate what you've learned here today in your everyday life.
Thanks for joining us.